Hi, welcome back to another episode of Soulful Sundays with Madge. Once again, I want to thank you so much for being on this journey with me. And if you like what you have been receiving, please remember to hit that like button and ring that bell. Feel free to leave a comment below. And I know that you may see the Ask Madge at 18gmail.com. That is my email. And if you have any questions regarding this video or any other video or just a general question, always feel free to email me at askmadge18@gmail.com. So let's begin. This week we are talking about what are you minding? Now, it's kind of funny that we're talking about what are you minding because this week I have had to mind many things, and I have been in my head wondering what way I was going to go with this message that I would give to you today. And initially, which we're going to touch on, I had a situation that came up that really made me think about what I was minding, and I thought that it would be a good conversation for us to have today. So what really led to what are you minding for me this week was actually something that happened last year, 2019. I joined this local chapter that is dedicated to servicing members that have a particular certification that I have. It helps with their continuing education. So I joined to be like an officer of this chapter and to help out with people that were looking to get this certification or people who currently hold the same certification as I have. So the thing about it was I sucked. I sucked at being the officer, not because it was like I didn't have the ability to do the job. It's just there wasn't like a pull to do it in my life. It was like I was pushing myself to go through the motions. I really wasn't motivated at all. And I'm the type of person that when I dedicate myself to something, I always want to do my best. I always want to give it all of me. I kind of remember this saying, well, it was a saying, something growing up in church, and I can't really remember it, so I'm not gonna go into details on it, but it's like, you know, if a task has once begun, never leave it till it's done. You know, be a leader, great or small, but regardless, the point is, if you're gonna do something, no matter if it's sweeping a floor, if it's drying a dish, like whatever it is, do it the right way. So that's just kind of my thought process and how I like to conduct and carry out my life. So anyways, going back to this, I wasn't good at it. And and I think it's okay to have those reality checks and just kind of be okay with telling yourself if there's something in life that you're not really, you're not that good at it. It's really not motivating you to do it. You're really not that interested in it. It's okay to say, you know what, it's just not for me. But I didn't want to quit in the middle of it. I just recognized that it wasn't for me, and I said, okay, I am not going to do this in 2020. So towards the end, we take a little hiatus towards like the last quarter of 2019, and then the meetings start back up in 2020. So, I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do this in 2020. So I'm talking to one of the other officers, and she's like, Madge, you're really good at it. I think that you should come back. You should do it. She's like telling me all these great things, and, she's really convincing me on coming back and continuing to serve this chapter. So I didn't listen to myself, and I listened to her because, she was telling me great things. She was, feeding my mind, telling me all the good. You're so talented. You're so good at this. But deep down inside, like, I knew that it was not for me. But I didn't listen to myself. I didn't follow my instinct. I didn't follow what I already knew. And so I Said, okay. So I committed myself for another year of serving as a officer for this particular chapter. So what happened was this month, probably like a week, 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks ago, I get a text message and she's like, Madge, where are you? And I'm like, I'm at Walmart. I'm at Walmart. But anyways, I'm like, I'm at Walmart. And she's like, well, we have a meeting. So here's the thing about the meetings. It's like you do a lot of work throughout the month and you have one meeting every month and you're supposed to show to that one meeting. It's like if you have a job and your only job, you do everything at home, but your only job is to show up to this meeting once a month in front of all the executives and present everything that you've done for the whole month, and you don't show up. You get what I'm saying? It's like, where are you? So I was minding myself at Walmart and doing all these other things that I had a natural pull towards. Taking care of my home. That's where I'm at. But, I felt like crap. I felt like I let a lot of people down. I felt like I let the chapter members down. I let down the people that I work alongside. And I didn't feel good about myself. I did not feel good because I'm like, dang, Madge, like, that's not you. That's not the type of person you are. You really like to show up and show up for those things that you obligate yourself to, or those things that you say you're going to do. Like, that's just how I like to conduct myself. And it made me actually think about in life in general, like, how many things do we do in our daily lives, like, whether it's people, whether it's different tasks that we do in our lives that we know deep down inside that we don't want to do with our times, or being with people that we know it's like, why am I doing this? Like, we have that instinct and we know that we're in situations that we shouldn't be minding, like that we shouldn't be putting our thoughts and our energy into, but we do it for whatever reason, whether it's someone else telling us that we should do it, whether it's a fear that if we don't do it, we don't know what else we will be doing. But it really made me think, like, what do we do in life that we just know is not self-serving, that we know it's not beneficial, but yet we still do it and we obligate ourselves to these different circumstances that just are not for us, and so like this, I think it's been more than this month. It's been this year, since the start of 2020. I really have been focusing heavily on like my life and everything that I mind. I remember I was listening to, I don't know if it was a podcast. I don't know if I read it in a book. I really can't remember. And, but this particular person was talking about like our energy level and like how much energy we have allocated throughout the day just to kind of like get through the day and everything that we do in our daily lives. And just, how different, whether it's food or circumstances, like all the things that can like drain and take away from a high level of energy. And, and I was just thinking to myself, like, if I'm doing different tasks or different things in my daily life that are draining me, that, it is leaving me to a point where I'm not minding the right things, where does that leave my creativity? Where does that leave me to be able to just really sit and like take some time to really like do some soul searching and reflecting on what I'm doing in my life, or what I'm supposed to be doing in my life. Like, what all is going on in my life that's draining me, or that's just not beneficial. And it's really been hard. It's really been hard to sit and analyze and to think about all the things that you do in your day-to-day life, and to really realize that sometimes we're minding the wrong things, and our thoughts are in many different places that really don't help to be productive in our day-to-day lives and help us to continue to be as creative as we possibly can as we continue on our journey of discovering our life purpose and discovering what's going to bring us joy. Because I'm just a firm believer, like, the more joy that I have, the more joy that I'm able to pour into others and pour into all the experiences that are attached to my destiny, and here's the thing, like, where I'm at as far as even being able to sit and really think about what I'm minding, and if I'm minding the right things, and what areas of my life do I need to say, okay, those thoughts or the focus there is just not going to be beneficial to me, is not going to help to keep me as clear as I need to be in life to continue to move forward. I haven't always been this intentional in my life, right? I haven't always had as much clarity as I have currently in my life to really be as purposeful as I am, and to really feel like I want my day-to-day life to have an intention, right? But I go back to 2015, which will always be a very significant year in my life, because that was the time that life really hit me hard. I remember thinking, like, okay, I thought the divorce was really going to be the most hardest thing for me to overcome, because once again, if we go back to minding, I can admit, like, I wasn't happy in my marriage. And my ex-husband, if he ever saw this video, or if someone ever asked, he probably would say the same exact thing, right? But I was willing to almost continue to stay in something and mind an area of my life of being unhappy and living a life attached to unhappiness and all those encounters that unhappiness would continue to bring, just to not feel the shame of what others might think of me. But I can remember thinking, like, I thought that was gonna be the worst thing, right? Then it was like I unexpectedly lost my best friend. I lost my father, who was my best friend. He was my human guide. He was the person that made everything make sense. A thought. He could make a thought make sense. He could tell me, Madge, this is where your mind needs to be. This is what you need to think about. Did you ever look at it like this? Well, you know what? God might have told me to share this with you. I feel like he always, he was my clarity. I didn't have to be clear on life. I didn't have to mind my thoughts, because I would just go to him. And, so when he left this earth, I can remember, I remember thinking, I don't even know what thought to take. I don't even know where my mind should be, what I should be even thinking about. Like, I had no concept. And I can remember, I must have been at my brother's house, and I can remember walking down the street and I was just looking up at the sky. And I can remember this saying that I heard from Oprah. I don't know if it was from Oprah or Oprah said it from someone else. And I remembered this, and it just came to me, and it was like, and I just spoke the words. I looked up at the sky, and I was like, it's not what I'm going through. It's not what you're going through. It's what, wait, I'm going to get this right. It's not what you're going through. It's what is happening for you, or something like that. And I can just remember thinking and saying that it's not what I'm going through. It's what is, not what I'm going through, but it's what's happening for me. And here's the thing, I didn't believe it when I said it, right? I didn't believe that losing my best friend was happening for my good, that it was happening for me. But what I didn't realize, though, is in that moment I had took the first step of telling myself a better feeling story. I wouldn't realize that until years later, that what I was doing was I was starting to open up my mind to mind the right things, even though I did not even know what thought to take next. And then maybe a couple weeks later, I can remember the next thoughts that I had. It's almost like my Father's Spirit was guiding my mind still. Even though he had transitioned in another form, it was almost like he still was like, I'm gonna help this girl, help this girl get her mind together. That's what I felt. Or maybe the tools were just always there, but I just didn't necessarily need to access them. And when the moment came, somehow, and I'm going to get back to where I'm going with this. But what I know now is that when life comes at you hard, right? The thoughts that you have and the story that you tell yourself can really begin to shape your life for the betterment, or it could lead you down a different path. And so my hope is that if someone is already down that different path, or at a place that they may not know the next thought or the next thing to mind, I want to just convey, like, you're not alone, and the stories that we tell ourselves are extremely important. Even if we have to tell ourselves a story that we don't even quite believe yet, but we know that we would like to believe that story, and we know that that story can hold truth, it's better to tell yourself that story. So what I didn't know then that I know now is that I had already started to tell myself a better feeling story, even though I did not feel any goodness on the inside. So the next things that I started to mind, even though I was like, where is my mind? I had no clue where my mind was, other than it was dark. I was borderline depressed, very, very depressed. But I just had to continue to tell myself a better story, because what I wanted to avoid was to believe what I was feeling. Because I knew what I was feeling, but I just was like, I don't want to allow my mind to believe what my body and my inside was feeling. So some of the next things that I started to mind was, I said, there's a couple important things that I needed to do next. I needed to realize that life was about more than just what was going on between my walls. And that I needed to pour myself into something. And what I didn't realize was that because I didn't feel good, but I still chose to say I need to do acts of service for something beyond me. I need to pour myself into something beyond me. I didn't realize that what I was actually doing was I was allowing myself to heal. I was allowing my mind to be placed in other areas that would begin to fuel me, that would begin to energize me, that would begin to lead me on a different path. And I didn't feel good while I was doing all these things, but I just knew, I don't know what I knew, but I remember very vividly that growing up, on paper, one might have looked at my father's life on paper and said, okay, life might have been kind of tight, you may have had some lack. But when I tell you, there was so much abundance in my household, abundance of love. I mean, there was never lacking on any level in my home growing up. And like now when I think about that and I look at that, there's certain things that come to my mind, and it's like I realize now that whatever my father was minding, like he was minding the right things. His mind was on the right areas in life. My father was such a man of he gave. He believed in the acts of service. He was always giving of himself. But what I realized is he didn't hold on to things so tightly. Money, his time, his love, the ability to wake up in the middle of the nights to talk to people, but what I realized is that he was so busy minding the right things in life that God took care of him. He never lacked. He had so much favor in life. And he was, whatever he minded was just of a sound mind. It was an intentional mind. It was a focused mind. And I had all that growing up, and I didn't realize that he was teaching me, even then, as a little girl, how to have the right mindset at the right time. So, so now I'm just at a place in life where I want in life everything that God has for me. I want in life every experience, every friendship, every encounter that God has for me. That is a part of my path, a part of my journey, a part of my destiny. I want to pour into the people and the experiences and the places that I'm supposed to be pouring into. And in order for me to do those things, and in order for me to be as creative as I need to be, in order for me to be as energized as I need to be, in order for me to have the joy that I am supposed to have, in order for me to lead the life that was created for me, I have to mind the right things. I have to be okay with walking away from any experience that is not for me, that will lead me in my mind to be focused on areas that are not going to take me where I'm supposed to be in life. I think about life, and I just think about, truly, for me, the greatness of it. And I think, we get one shot at life. One shot, I didn't always think like this, but, now I do. I'm like, you get one shot. There's no practice in this. I mean, you do and you learn. You do and you learn. You do and you learn. And, now being in my mid-30s and still, being thankful and grateful for every encounter that I've had, every life experience that I had, because I truly am aware that it all was for my greater good. It all led me to all these beautiful moments that I have and all the beautiful moments that I plan to continue to have. However, my time, it is valuable. My energy level is valuable. Where I place myself, it is truly valuable. And in order for me, when it's time for me to be called home, I wanna go with no regrets. I wanna go knowing that any and everything that was placed on the inside of me that was part of my life destiny, it was part to be like a part of me that's supposed to be manifested externally, that I'm supposed to get out of me, I want to get it out of me. I don't want to leave here feeling like I didn't live out my destiny, that I wasn't mindful of all the places and experiences that I am supposed to have in life. So I'm just at a point where it's like, I'm okay with if I don't go out on a Friday or a Saturday night for a social engagement, because that means that I'm gonna sit at home and I'm gonna work on that business plan. And you know what? Maybe I don't have the funding for it. But let me work on the plan, because you know what? Who's to say that on my journey, on my purpose, that God doesn't have someone down the road, well, not literally down the road, but you know, down the road in your destiny or my destiny, that has the resources for my business plan. But they're just looking for the right business plan. They're looking for the right person to come and present them with that right idea that they can pour their money into, you know? So it's just like, you know, I want to sit at home sometimes and be okay with just fellowshipping with God, being okay with being still, being okay with just taking in all that I'm supposed to take in, so that when I wake up, I am refreshed and I feel like my mind is on the right things in life, that I am living the most intentional life, that, you know, that I don't believe anymore that life is just supposed to come and do whatever it's supposed to do in my life and give me whatever it's supposed to give me in my life. No longer are those beliefs for me. My belief is that I am supposed to have all that God has created me to have. And I'm going to seek, and I'm going to ask, and I am going to be guided, and I am going to go after it. So, what are you minding? Are you minding circumstances and people that, you know, deep down inside, you know, maybe it's just not the right situation for you? You know, maybe there's things in your life that you want to go and do, and adventures you want to have, and businesses you want to start, but you're nervous about it, or you don't know where to begin, or you're distracted. So maybe now is the time to sit and take stock and look at your life, look at your days. How are your days going? You know, are you drained because you're doing certain things and it doesn't leave you time to be as creative as you would like to be, to work on all those things that you have on the inside of you that you're excited to give birth to, that you're excited to manifest on the external? And I get it. Like, I know that it can be so easy to be taken away. You know, this week has been, it's been a week, you know. Some of the things that I typically like to do in my day-to-day life, like, I just did not have the ability to do, because, you know, things were coming up. But the cool thing now is that I'm able to recognize when things are coming up and you know, I'm getting kind of pulled this way or that way. I'm able to take a step back. I'm able to look. I'm able to have clarity on it. I'm able to say to myself, like, okay, Madge, what is that? You know, is that a good reason to you know, sometimes we can't be too rigorous in, you know, what we have going on. You know, I don't want this to come across as being so serious that it's like you don't leave flexibility to flow, because in life you got to have some flow. But it's just having the ability to be clear on who you are, be clear on where your mind is at, being clear on where you're going. And that way, when things come up, you're able to really, you know, to really take a step back and look at it for what it is, and know if it's something that you can say, okay, it's okay if I don't go and, you know, read. I normally read at this time, or it's okay if I'm not able to go and run this particular errand, or do this particular thing I normally like to do, because, you know, minding this over here is important. It could be beneficial as well. But it's just getting clear in life on, you know, where you're at and the thoughts that you're holding. And I think that the clearer you are, the more better you're able to make the right decisions for yourself, and keeping your mind where you want it to be. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me on this journey of self-discovery and becoming all that we were created to be. And don't forget to hit the like button and to ring the bell to subscribe. Leave a comment below. If you have any additional questions, you can always email me at askmadge18@gmail.com. Until next week, I want you to take care of yourself and have a wonderful day. Bye.